Today, I'm joined by Dan Oweiler, who is here from Sterling Financial. Dan, how are you doing?
Good, Lisa. How are you?
Excellent, excellent.
It's been a while since we've done a live interview.
I know, and we're still going to be doing this for a little while longer. So, it's just the way it is.
Any idea kind of what the time frame is for you guys to still do this?
You know what? We really don't have a directive yet, seeing that our community is the population that is the most vulnerable to COVID-19. We're just kind of doing some baby steps. We had a presentation from our CEO who gave us a rollout plan, and we're just kind of following his plan.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think all of us have been affected some way in our lifestyles. So, I've missed coming in on being on live TV with Ken, but you're a much prettier face.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll be in studio again soon, hopefully within a month or so. We just don't know yet. But when we're looking at finances, I mean, I'm certainly looking at my 401k these days to make sure that it's, in the right place. And I know you have a lot of questions about that, but also, gosh, where do you put your money? Do you put it all in stock? Do you put it in other things? Give me an idea of what we should be looking at.
Well, I remember back in the Great Recession in 2008, 2009, people used to say my 401ks turned into 201k, and we had a pretty major hit back in March, from March through April. The market was down about 34% overall, which is pretty big for a 1 month drop. However, since that time, we've kind of climbed back a little bit. But, last week or a couple weeks ago, when we had a big scare between the second, quote unquote, COVID-19 reemergence, the market went down 1,800 points in one day. Prior to that time, the market had almost climbed all the way back. It was only down about 5% from the time it hit an all-time high back in February. So at February, I think the Dow Jones was like 29.5. We're at 26. A big day today, we're up 650 points. So we're doing okay, but sometimes people think of, 2008, and well, we've climbed back up a little bit. We're only down about 10% from its all-time high. So we're doing okay, but it still brings us a little bit anxiety when we see the market dropping that much.
Exactly. And one day it's 600, the next day it's something else. I mean, boy, it is just all over the map. What do you attribute that to?
Uncertainty. In the market likes certainty, and we don't have certainty right now. And whether or not we're going to go into a recession as a result of the social lockdown that we've had, there's a lot of businesses that were probably struggling prior to that and are not going to make it through. And so unfortunately, we're probably going to see a lot of restructuring and things like that. It's the airlines that they had the same problem during 2008 when everybody quit traveling. The whole travel industry is going to probably restructure and consolidate, and just a lot of uncertainty going on in the market, and the market does not like uncertainty. It's
right. And when you're looking at things that you want to invest in, I mean, obviously the airlines probably may not be a good idea at this time, but what if somebody was looking for something to invest in? Do you have, I mean, not to give away the whole thing, but I'm just saying in general, what do you look for?
A lot of it depends upon their situation in life. How we would set up a plan for Lisa is probably different than how we would set up a plan for some of the people there in Laguna Woods, because you're probably still trying to grow your assets and you're trying to build your retirement funds to be in a position to, and so you probably are in a position to maybe take a little bit more risk than somebody who is 75 or 80 years old. And so it all depends on the person that we're working with and what they're trying to do. I have clients that are 75, 80 years old that still enjoy the excitement of the market. Well, that's okay if that's what they want to do, but what I have found is if most people will just take care of what they have rather than trying to get greedy, then they'll be okay. I had a lady call me from Laguna Woods here not too long ago that actually met with me 2 or 3 years ago, and I gave her some advice and told her the same thing. We never ended up working together, and I got an email from her, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and saying, Dan, you told me not to get greedy, and I ended up selling my stock, and it was the best thing that you ever told me to do. Well, she has some CDs coming due, and so we're working with her to get some CDs money reinvested for her. But a lot of times I have found that if people don't get greedy and they just get a fair return on their money, they're generally okay.
So what if somebody was in a situation where, sometimes you look at trackers and they tell you that you're in the red and you need all this money to retire. What would you suggest?
It's not so how much money you need, it's how much you spend that actually determines that. Because you can have somebody that has $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, but they're only spending $2,500 a month, and their Social Security is $2,000. That's very, very easy to set up a plan to generate an extra $20 or $500 a month off of that. However, if you have somebody that has $1 million and they're spending $15,000 a month and they're only getting $2,500 from Social Security, it's a much different plan. So it's not how much money everybody, you've seen these advertisements as, what's your number? It's not what your number you have in the bank, it's what your number is that you're spending each month. That's what determines how comfortable your lifestyle is going to be. And so people that have their homes paid off, they don't have any car loans, and they're spending $2,000, $3,000 a month, and their Social Security between the husband and wife are $3,000, they're doing very well. And so it's not one size fits all for everybody. I found that out that it's not how much you have in the bank, it's how much you're spending every month that is going to determine your lifestyle.
Well, I think some of us have found for the last 3 months, we haven't been spending any money because we're not going anywhere.
That's right. And then so, things like this, I have a lot of clients, and we've talked about this before, that if you'll just protect what you have, don't get greedy, use guaranteed annuities or whatever it is during this crisis, they haven't lost anything. Mm-hmm. And what I have found, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. Okay. And so for a lot of people that are in Laguna Woods demographics, it's very comforting to see my portfolio didn't go down at all, and I might not be making 10 or 15%, but if I can make 4, 5, 6% on my money and have it fairly safe, I'm going to be okay.
Right. Well, that's a really good point, because once you start getting greedy, then of course things start going south. So you do have to be careful.
If you're young like you and you're building your portfolio, my kids are building their portfolio, and they have the time to be able to take a little bit of risk, because if they lose it in the market, they have time to make it back up. A lot of people, our time frame really starts to narrow the older we get. I have a lot of people, you hear a lot of brokers say, well, we're in this for the long haul, okay, or the long term. Well, the long term to an 80-year-old is much different than it is for a 45-year-old. And so you don't have the time frame to make it back up many times. So planning over the course of 50 years is a lot easier than planning the course over 5 or 10 years. And so you've got a lot of different scenarios that come into play when you talk about, well, what should I be investing in right now? Well, is that for Lisa or is that for Dan? It's a whole different scenario for the 80-year-old than it is for the 45-year-old.
Excellent advice. I really do appreciate you taking the time with us, and you stay healthy out there, okay?
So far, so good. So far, so good.
All right, perfect. Thank you again.
All right, Lisa.
And we'll be right back after this.